I, 22 female, have been raising my siblings since my mom abandoned us for another man 7 years ago. So I was rather young when the life of 5 underage kids fell into my shoulders. My siblings are Emma, nearly adult, Jesse, young teen, and Jacob, tween. Anna, pre-tween, and Alexa, young child, are my half-siblings. But when my mom abandoned us again, I couldn't bring myself to leave them. It's a long story, so I won't get into detail. It's been very hard to take care of them. Honestly, I had to give up on so many things in my life so that I could give a better life to my siblings. I know how hard it is for them to be left alone without the support of their mom and dad. So I did my best to ensure they won't lack anything. I tried to work multiple jobs so that they could join clubs they wanted and get them relatively good stuff so that their classmates won't make fun of them. I tried to be there for them when they needed me, regardless of how tired I was. I genuinely tried my best. For the last couple of years, I've worked as a dancer at a club to get money to send my older siblings to college. I'm ashamed of working there, but if that's what it takes for my siblings to have a decent life, I can put up with it. But here's the thing. Recently, Emma got into a relationship with one guy, 19. He's not the best, to be honest. He gives many red flags. I've tried to talk to Emma, but she didn't listen, so I thought maybe it would just be a short-lived relationship. But a week ago, Emma announced during dinner time that she was pregnant, and it made up her mind about keeping a baby. I've tried to talk to Emma about how it's not right and that she should concentrate on getting to college or anything that will help her achieve her dreams. But she said that she had made up her mind and that I won't change it no matter what. When I asked how she was planning to take care of the baby, she said, "I have you, and you'll help me with the baby. I'll go to college when the time comes, and you'll take care of the baby during that time." I was a bit taken aback, but I told her I'm not going to do it. And if she wants to keep the baby, she has to figure something out on her own. I'm sorry, but I can't put myself through that roller coaster of caring for a baby when I've already gone through that 5 times. Emma got mad at me. She yelled at me and told me that it was my responsibility to take care of her and the rest of the family, and how I had done it before and I could do it again. She said because I make good, dirty money, I can afford to have another baby and take care of it, whilst she'll get her life in better condition than I made it for her. I repeated that I did my best and I don't want to take care of another baby, but she just called me the worst sister ever. All that made me rethink everything. So, am I the idiot? I don't know. I feel like a horrible person. Not the idiot. Tell her categorically that your dirty money will not support her anymore. She can go ahead and earn good money and fend for herself and her child. Please do not give in. Her contempt for your livelihood should be the last straw. Her sense of entitlement shows that you've provided for her above and beyond just necessities. Stop now. She can fend for her judgmental butt. This is the right answer. She tried to make you feel guilty over the dirty money. That was a very low jab. If it's legal, it's not a dirty job. Considering your sacrifice to raise them, you have every right to think over yourself now. You don't want to go again for another 18 years. She wants the kids? Fine, but that's her business now. Do you want to play an adult game? Go get a job and find out by yourself how hard it is. Emma needs a serious wake-up call. You're right in what you said to her. Don't back down. Someday you need to start living your own life. You were younger than her when you became a parent. And to be completely blunt, throw her ungrateful, entitled idiot out of your home. I'm not sure if she legally can. Yet, once Emma's 18, she should be able to kick her out with no problem. Do not cave to your sister. She can go to the baby daddy for help if she wants to keep the child. It took 2 people to make that kid, and neither of them was you. You are not a horrible person. You took care of your siblings when most of them would have given them to anyone else. But you know your limit, and it's not fair to you that you keep being stretched thin to take care of everyone. My fiance, 32 female, and I, 35 male, have been together for nearly 5 years. My fiance is currently 26 weeks pregnant with our little boy. My fiance has 2 little girls. The oldest, preteen female, is biologically my fiance's daughter, and the youngest, female young child, is biologically my fiance's niece, her sister's daughter. but my fiance has special guardianship of her, so makes all legal and medical decisions. Important info: both girls have the same last name as my fiance. I love both these girls with my whole heart. I would do anything, literally, for them. We will get married in about a month, our 5-year anniversary. We're currently in the process of me adopting the older girl and adding my name to the guardianship of the youngest. Unfortunately, we can't legally change her last name due to the legal issues surrounding the youngest case. My fiance and I talked, and I suggested that the simplest answer was for me to change my last name to the same as my fiance. I don't want to double barrel my last name, as I feel this defeats the whole point. I want us to all share the same last name. This also means when our baby boy is born, he will be given my fiance's, by then mine as well, last name. My parents have always been, in my opinion, obsessed with carrying on our family name, so I knew this decision would upset them. I know it's harsh, but my little ones mean more to me than my parents' obsession. I had a sit-down talk with them. Mom was crying and Dad was angry. Neither understood my decision. They want us to change both girls' names to my current last name. Apparently, that was the obvious decision. Changing my name will obviously disgrace our family. What will people think? I'll make my parents fodder for gossip. My fiance did suggest using my current last name as the baby boy's first name. I didn't even suggest this to my parents. My last name is all right, but it would be a god-awful first name, and I'm not doing that to our son. My mom was demanding I talk sense into my fiance. Our conversation ended with me telling them I'm not interested in their tears, drama, or their opinion, and I won't allow them to talk to my fiance until they're less emotional. She's nearly 6 months pregnant, and the last thing she needs is my parents shouting at her for a decision I made. Am I the idiot for how I spoke to my parents? Am I the idiot for changing my last name when it means so much to them? Not the idiot. I just don't understand why this outdated patronymic tradition is such a big deal to some people. While I can understand your parents' disappointment, getting this emotional is irrational. They're asking you to have 3 people change their last name, even though you legally can't change one, versus one person, you, which is simpler. As long as you don't mind, they shouldn't mind. It's not the name that matters, it's the person. Carrying on the family name is a really stupid social norm. Everyone's situation is different. What a wonderful person you are to do this for your kids. And you're right. Your kids are more important than your parents' desire to have you keep your last name. My husband took my last name when we married. It's not uncommon. It's not shameful. No one cares that we did this. Your parents suck for painting this as some huge, insurmountable problem. It's literally got nothing to do with them. Next, tell them if they keep up their tantrum, you will go low contact. I'm a nearly adult male and the youngest in the family. I was adopted at the age of 4. My biological mom was best friends with my adoptive mom, and she legally adopted me after my biological mom passed away. Any reference to my parents below refers to my adoptive parents. I have 3 older siblings. My parents covered their college tuition in full and then covered law and medical school for 2 of them. The other sibling didn't go to grad school. They also gave them a stipend to cover living expenses. I talked to my parents about college and what help I could expect, and surprisingly, they told me there wouldn't be any help because they didn't have any money left after they paid for my siblings. I wasn't expecting a similar level of support, but I was expecting some help. My mom told me that my bio mom didn't leave money for my college, so I'll be on my own. So I asked if this was really about money, or if this was about me being adopted and not their real son. They were offended, but reassured me that they genuinely couldn't afford it after they purchased a condo for my sister earlier this year, and it takes a few years for their finances to recover. So it's just my bad luck that this has coincided with me going to college, and there's nothing they can do now. I called them out and told them that I wasn't buying this explanation and that they wouldn't be doing this to me if I was their biological child. My dad reminded me that I'm acting in an entitled way and should instead learn that we don't always get what we want. He told me that most parents couldn't fund their children's college tuition, and I'm acting like I'm entitled to a tuition-free college when I'm not. But my point has been about being treated unfairly compared to my siblings. In the end, they told me they don't really need my permission or approval to support any of their kids, and I just need to accept that this is their decision. I said in that case, they also need to accept that I believe I'm being treated differently because I'm adopted, and their answers have not been convincing. They told me I was being an entitled brat. Now I fear that I may have overstepped, and indeed maybe I am being an idiot. Not the idiot. Of course, kids are not entitled to their parents paying for college and condos, but I think you're entitled to the same treatment as your siblings. If they support one, they should support all. Your age is not a secret, so they knew college was coming up, and they were making a choice. They helped out all their other kids with college, then bought their daughter a condo, then told you it's not your business what they do with their money. Then they call you an entitled brat. How are you supposed to feel? I'd feel left out if all of this is true. They're treating you differently, and sure as heck, it's because you're not their biological kid. Sorry, that sucks. OMG, they never plan to pay. Buying your sister a condo is a convenient excuse. If they planned to pay, they would have set aside that money. It's not like you going to college is a sudden surprise. I would literally bow to them every time I walked in the room and say, "Thank you so much for everything you've done for the orphan." They want two classes of people in their household, reminding them that it exists at every turn. Personally, I find this to be a ridiculous argument, but here we go. I got married recently, and for family pictures on my side, we decided to do just my mom and dad, divorced, as both of their new partners came into my life as an adult, and to be honest, I can't stand either of them. My dad just assumes I wouldn't want his wife as she isn't family to me, and my mom knows full well that I'll never take a picture with her boyfriend after the things he said about me. Neither said a word about this. We got the pictures back recently, and my wife is furious because my dad had his hands on my mom's waist. I don't see why that's a bad thing. My wife said it's creating a false narrative that they were together. People would think it was weird, and our future kids would assume they were married at the time. I said it could be much worse. My mom could have been one of those crazy mothers-in-law. My dad could have had his typical grumpy face. I thought the pictures looked nice. My wife disagreed, but I thought we put it behind us. We had dinner recently with my dad and his wife, and my wife gave him a copy of the pictures. She pointed out his hands and asked him why he took it upon himself to stage the pictures and why he thought that was an appropriate picture. He said it just seemed like the natural place to place his hands. He told her to calm down, which made things worse, and she began getting an attitude. I intervened and said he didn't ruin the pictures and to leave him alone. I said it was such a minor thing and who cares, but I told him to stop laughing as my wife being upset isn't funny. My wife feels I betrayed her and that I'm not trying to see things from her point of view. Am I the idiot? OMG, false narrative? Dude, does she know your parents were married before and had you, right? Like, they did used to be a thing. Who will go through the wedding pictures and nitpick at something like a pose from the parents of one side of the family? It's just a good thing that your parents are capable of being able to act nicely together at a wedding. What does she want? Drama and cake throwing? I hope she's not usually like this, or you're not going to have a happy marriage. Your wife is nuts. I'm so sorry. Your wife severely overestimates how interested your future kids will be in the wedding photos. Besides, what does she want instead? For them to be screaming at each other or looking like they wish the other person was on the other side of the world, so there'd be no question to any outside observer they weren't together? And what exactly does she want to be done about it now? If she doesn't drop it, let alone stop throwing around ridiculous overreactions like betrayal. Seriously, I don't hold out much hope that this marriage will last long enough for anyone to care about the photos. Apparently, father should have been attempting to strangle his ex because that would be closer to the truth. Your wife sounds like a bridezilla. I would have loved to have my parents get along. They wouldn't have stood next to each other in a picture, let alone allowed hands on each other. Your parents did something nice for you. She needs to drop it. This is such a strange thing to have an issue with. I'm a male teen, and this might sound dramatic, but bear with me. My mom was married before and had my half-sister Mia, is now 27. She met my dad when Mia was 7 and had my sister Brooke. Brooke was born with disabilities that would require lifelong care and support. Mia hated that Mom was married to Dad and wanted nothing to do with Brooke, and they worried about who would take care of Brooke when they were gone. So they had another kid, me, so she'd have a caregiver in the future. I've spent my whole life with this knowledge and being trained to put Brooke first and to be willing to take over her care once I'm needed. The pressure is even worse since Mia doesn't want anything to do with Brooke or me and always refuses to get any training for taking care of Brooke. I hate that my parents expected it out of us in the first place, but I hate being doomed. I'm facing a life of caring for my sister and needing to devote my life to her. But I'd feel bad getting married and having kids because she'll always need more care. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be in charge of her. But if I say no, she has nobody except to go into some sort of care facility, and I know my parents have not planned for that, so it would still fall on me. I've been lashing out at my parents more lately, so they brought me to therapy, and this is when I told them I hated them for having me. I told them they gave me a burden to carry my whole life before my mom gave me birth. My parents are mad at me, and they think I'm selfish. They also think my feelings about caring for my sister make me cruel. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You are not responsible for your parents' children. You're a child yourself. They should have saved up for care and help for your sister. I stress again, this is not your responsibility at all. How people sacrifice the happiness of one child to be able to help another child and relieve their guilt is beyond me. Seriously, anyone that has another kid for the sole purpose of the younger kid taking care of an older sibling is trash. It is so beyond wrong, and they have some nerve calling OP selfish and cruel. I hope OP realizes they're just trying to guilt him into being their slave again. They had plenty of time to organize care for when they passed and save for it. Rather than being responsible, they chose to have another child. Responsibility for your sister is not something they're physically capable of transferring to any other person without a pay schedule. Call CPS. That's abuse. They can't force you to stay, especially when you're 18. I would talk to your therapist, teachers, or sympathetic relatives. You need to start building your plan to become independent when you turn 18. Your sister is not your responsibility, and putting that weight on you and telling you that's why they had you is abusive and terrible. Get out. It is your life, not hers, not theirs. My husband has a daughter, Kara, who's starting college soon. She primarily lives with her mom, but visits once every 4 to 6 months for a max of 2 nights. She's very involved with friends and activities in her mom's city, which takes up most of her time. My husband and I live in the 2-bedroom condo I inherited with my first-grade daughter. When Kara has visited, she slept on the couch or a blow-up mattress. However, my husband has set aside my daughter's, Molly, closet to keep Kara's things in for when she visits. That means Molly has no closet to use. Kara will be attending college out of state, and my husband has spent the past 4 months asking Kara if she wants the stuff she left here. Kara has not answered at all. My husband has also asked his ex-wife if Kara wants to keep or have the stuff here. 4 months and not a response from either of them on that. However, both are quick to reach out or respond when it includes buying Kara something new, giving them money, or demanding her tuition be paid. Kara and her mom pick and choose what to respond to. Earlier, I was going through my and Molly's stuff to find clothes neither of us wears to take to donation. I called my husband to ask what he wanted me to do about Kara's stuff. He knew I was going to donate today. He told me to pack it up and donate it. I asked him if he was sure that I didn't feel right donating it and would rather send it back to Kara to do as she pleases. My husband said no. He's given her over 4 months to respond, and he's reached out to his ex multiple times for neither to respond on that topic. He then said as Kara's dad, he's making the decision to donate her stuff, and he plans to redo the closet in a way that's good for Molly. So I bagged up Kara's stuff and dropped it off with the other stuff. My husband sent Kara and his ex a joint text saying Kara's stuff had been donated due to their lack of response when he'd asked them what to do for months. Within 2 minutes, Kara called and flipped out. She called screaming and cussing that we had no right to donate her stuff, that it's hers and we should never touch it. And this convinces her that we're trying to erase her from our lives, that what we did was unforgivable, and we can be sure she'll never visit again. Shortly after Kara got off the phone, the ex called, also screaming and cussing, saying that was Kara's stuff and how dare we donate it, and accused us of stealing from Kara and my husband of not caring about his daughter and trying to replace her with Molly. My husband frequently plans outings for him and Kara, but she cancels over 90% of the time to hang out with friends. My husband snapped at his ex. If she or Kara had answered, this would not have happened. So if they want to blame anyone, they need to blame themselves. I know my husband told me to donate Kara's stuff, and he's not upset with me. But I feel bad for not sending it back to Kara and her mom and letting them decide what to keep or not. So am I the idiot? Not the idiot, and I'm so glad your husband stood his ground. I admire how empathetic you are and how you tried to send her stuff back, but please remember that you did nothing wrong. Kara's father decided after asking them and giving them months of notice, and it's not like the stuff was taking up space in a spare closet. It was taking up much needed room for your daughter, who lives there and uses her stuff daily. It was a power play. Kara thought by stonewalling OP's family, she could force them to keep her stuff there, and she'd always have a presence in the house, whether OP's family liked it or not. She couldn't be bothered to respond for 16 weeks, but responded in 2 minutes when they were donated. That shows it's all about Kara. If Kara legitimately wanted her things there, she should have said so. What kid wants to feel like the odd man out and made to sleep on the couch or blow-up mattress? Clearly, her coming around wasn't a priority to your husband either. How much stuff could even be in that closet if she's rarely there? Why couldn't your husband just bring it to her? Does he really never see her? I think there's more here than OP is letting on. You are the idiot, OP. Has the custody arrangement always been like this? Did something happen that caused Kara to spend only 2 nights every 4 months with her dad? No, he used to see Kara every weekend. Her mom moved across the state a few years ago and pushed Kara to get involved as much as possible with her new community and make new friends. It worked, and now Kara is constantly busy with no time to visit and no patience for a several-hour drive one way. So you mean that Kara was pushed to have lots of extracurricular activities and active social life while in high school? High school extracurriculars are pushed very hard because they're part of what makes up a successful college application. Having good friends is also an important part of high school. I can't comment on anything else, but her mother pushing Kara to get involved in her new community was not a screw you move. It's an important part of adolescent development. It's parental alienation. It was very much a screw you move. Kara doesn't care about a relationship with her father, not if she refuses to answer simple but basic questions. She's had her head filled with lies about being replaced, and now those lies seem justified to her. I'm the father of 2 girls, 23 Olivia and nearly adult Joyce. To give some context, the girls don't get along that well. They both have different personalities, different everything. Besides that, Joyce has multiple health conditions that cause her to faint occasionally. Olivia thinks Joyce uses her conditions to keep attention, but I don't believe this for a second. Joyce can't make anything up, especially when she faints, whether it be at a birthday party or wedding or any other event. Anyways, Olivia's boyfriend, 24, Kirk, proposed to her recently. Since he still lives with his parents and his parents aren't approving of their relationship, I was asked by him and Olivia if we could host their engagement party. My wife agreed on my behalf and started getting everything ready for the party. Of course, the extended family was invited. It was rather larger than I'd expected. The party kicked off, and Olivia and Kirk kept sitting. Joyce was staying upstairs because she felt a little sick, so we let her. But my brother insisted that she come downstairs and celebrate her sister's happy occasion. Joyce got dressed and joined us. I noticed she wasn't feeling well. I asked her several times if she was okay, and she said yes. Then minutes later, she suddenly fell after getting up from her seat. We all panicked, though she didn't faint, only reeled off balance for a few seconds. Olivia started mumbling something, but Kirk got up and said, "Don't mind her. She's once again just being an attention-seeking witch." I was shocked. I asked him what he said, but Olivia got involved and said he was right, and Joyce was trying to steal the attention from her that night. I got so mad I called the party off and told them both to get out of my house. My wife and Olivia freaked out and begged that I let this go, and they'd have Kirk apologize for this particular line, but I was having none of it and had them leave. Olivia was crying when they left. My brother jumped to defend her, saying I overreacted and Kirk was just mad and misspoke. But I told him, listen, if they're going to disrespect my daughter in her own house, then we're going to have a problem. Everyone left and my wife didn't stop criticizing me for doing this, ruining our daughter's celebration and making her resent us. I need judgment to know if I overreacted and went too far here. Not the idiot. Who does Kirk think he is to comment on a literal child in that way? What you said was spot on. If he can't show your daughter some respect in her own house, he can get out. Keep sticking up for your little daughter. And this makes me wonder why Kirk's family disapproves of the relationship. Sounds like Kirk and older daughter are two peas in a pod. You are the idiot. You let your younger daughter be pressured into attending, despite her not feeling well, and your full awareness of the tension between the girls. I'm interested in why your oldest daughter thinks the younger one is an attention seeker. Siblings show a side of themselves to each other that parents don't see. At any rate, you created the circumstances for this to happen and then overreacted. I don't know about everyone else, but this is giving me serious golden child versus scapegoat vibes. Kinda need a better idea about how these fainting spells generally flare up when the attention is on Olivia, and if this was a breaking point of past events. I can't decide on who's the idiot here without more context. I agree with you. This feels a little bit off. I'm just gonna say, does the older girl have a legitimate beef? Has the younger sister been favored their entire lives? Is there a real medical situation going on here? For the older sister and her fiance to be so upset about this situation, and the uncle insisting the kid join the party, makes me think Dad doesn't see the forest for the trees. Could Dad possibly have blinders on? This, unfortunately, isn't uncommon with siblings when one is medically needy. They feel the other sibling gets all the attention, is always given a pass, etc., even when not necessarily true. The sacrifices they have to make to accommodate being in a family with a medically needy sibling is an imposition, and one they feel they don't need to make because it isn't their fault. My wife, 29 female, and I, 31 male, have been married for 5 years and have a toddler son. When my son was born, my wife and I worked full-time, and our son was in daycare after my wife's maternity leave ran out. But my wife got laid off during the start of the global issue, so we pulled our son out of daycare, and my wife became a stay-at-home mom. Our finances have taken a hit with only one income, but we make it work. Saving on childcare helps, but it doesn't fully offset my wife's previous income. My wife loves being a stay-at-home mom and the time she gets with our son. She's become part of a mom group that gets together maybe 3 to 4 times a week and has their kids play together. But it seems like our son gets hurt every time they go to these things. Up until now, it's only been bumps, bruises, and scrapes, which I know kids get those things daily. But it just seems like every time they go to these mom group things, our son comes home with a new injury. I talked to my wife about it, and she told me that it's just kids being kids, and they will get bumps and bruises. Last week, I got a call from my wife telling me our son was in the emergency room. They had gone to one of the mom's houses, and the kids played outside. The family has some of those Power Wheel type cars, and our son got hit by another kid driving one. His leg got cut up pretty good and needed stitches, and he was pretty scraped up too, but thankfully nothing worse. My wife told me it was just an accident that happened so fast, and she was really upset with herself. But after talking with my son about it, He said he got dragged for a long time after the kid hit him and that mommy wasn't there to help him, and he was scared. I confronted my wife about it, and she admitted that she was inside chatting with other moms while it happened. There were other moms outside when it happened, but my wife wasn't out there. I was livid. I didn't yell at her, but I had some strong choice words for her. I told her that being a stay-at-home mom doesn't mean she has social time with other moms instead of watching our son. I told her I wanted to put our son back in daycare and for her to go back to work. I told her I'm not going to bust my butt to support her mommy's social time if she's not going to at least make sure our son doesn't get ran over and dragged by a runaway Power Wheel. She started crying and told me I was an idiot and that she had already felt guilty enough about what happened. I told her she didn't feel guilty enough to tell me the truth right away and that I felt like my trust was being questioned. I told her I wanted to start looking at daycares ASAP, and she needed to start thinking about what kind of job she wanted. She spent the last few days being extra attentive to our son, I'm sure, as a way to try to convince me not to put him into daycare, but my mind is pretty made up. Not the idiot. As much as your wife is happy as a stay-at-home mom and in her group, it's not as good for your son or finances. You want the best for your family, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I hope your son is feeling better from his stitches. Those are scary to get really young. Happens once, okay, they're kids. They'll fall and hurt themselves. Part of life. Happens twice? Okay, not a big deal. Kids will be kids. But every time? Sorry, that's BS. The past injuries weren't so dramatic, but this one, it could have been so much worse. Stand your ground, OP. No social time is worth it to injure your kid every single time. 100% they chuck the kids outside and then go inside and chat for hours while the kids are unmonitored past a glance out the kitchen window. I'd be really curious if the mommy social group was also the mommy wine group. That would explain their continuous lack of care given to the kids. You are the idiot. You want to take your kid away from one-on-one care because of an accident? When your wife was taking a break but had ensured an adult was monitoring your kid. Okay, LOL, that's the worst logic. Stay-at-home parents need socialization with adults because being with a toddler all day is mind-numbingly isolating. You clearly just don't want your wife to be a stay-at-home mom. This seems like an excuse more than anything else. Like you were waiting for a reason to tell her to go back to work. And children get hurt all the time playing with other children. It's a part of being kids and playing in stupid ways with stupid toys. My spouse and I have been struggling to find a home. We've outgrown our tiny apartment. We have a young child and one another, but we cannot afford a bigger place. We save but can't catch up to the pace of the house prices. My mother and her husband own 3 homes, soon to be 4. While she heavily relied on her parents financially, she's not been there for me in that way. Throughout the global issue, unemployment, high medical bills for our premature baby, and numerous other unfortunate expenses, she never offered any help. She and her husband, who considers himself my child's grandfather, own 5 cars, and periodically they abandon the cars at one of their vacation homes to look like someone is home all the time. They planned on doing this with an additional car recently, one that was only a few years old. I expressed my hurt that they were planning to abandon yet another car while they knew we were struggling financially. Housing costs have become so difficult that I applied for a job in a much cheaper state, 12 hours away, a couple of months ago. I told her about this, and although she's very close with her grandchild, she just said she'd visit a lot. It felt like don't let the door hit you on the way out. Ultimately, a relative who only has one home intervened and offered to help us in the event we could no longer afford rent after the upcoming increase, expected to be an increase of around $800 a month. 1 month after I told her about applying for the job out of state, she told me they got a beach place. I thought she meant a rental at first. It materialized that no, they purchased a home on the beach. She expected me to be thrilled. She even said they did it for us, me and my spouse and child. She meant that we would enjoy going there, but it's not a kid-friendly place. The price of the home is the same price range as the sort of home we'd like to buy that we've been priced out of over the last couple of years. This hurt me and I felt like it was a slap in the face. Well, before closing, I told her I would not be able to go to their new vacation home. They have 2 others, because it would be too upsetting for me. It's a highly frivolous expense in my view, when they already own 2 vacation homes in the same state as the new one. I don't feel entitled to their money, but neither do I want a front row seat to them wasting it while we struggle. I would have 0 problems if they used this money to pay off their existing mortgage, or save for retirement, or pretty much anything other than a 3rd vacation home that is the cost of the house we're hoping to be able to buy. Like the abandoned car, it feels like money is just being thrown away. And I know they can do what they want with their money, but I don't want to be in that house knowing they preferred having it to helping their grandchild and me. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They are wasting money. To park expensive cars in front of vacation homes is just stupid. Do they clean it? Move them regularly? So it really looks like they live there? They can do with their money what they want, but to go, I can't help you, I have no money, but do this and boast with a vacation home when OP needs to move 12 hours because she doesn't want to be homeless. It is insensitive. And maybe OP's mother forgot that a normal working person couldn't go on vacation all the time. They live in 2 different worlds. I'm wholeheartedly saying not the idiot, but man, I thought our situation was unfortunate. This is way worse. Everyone I know has their house because family helped with the down payment or loan. My parents couldn't do it for any of us, which I understand because they had 3 kids and didn't have a bunch of money lying around to pay for 3 down payments. My husband's mother, on the other hand, wants him to be thrilled about the home she buys and flips. He once asked if she could help him get a loan, and she said she didn't want to risk not getting her next flip loan. We can afford payments, but with the nature of work, we can't get a home loan. So yeah, I don't expect money or help from people either. But when your blood relatives, knowing your kids or whatever, are in a tough spot, they 100% do not give a crap about your flip or vacation home. So spend your money how you want. I don't care. I don't have to jump up and down for you.